what happens, unfortunately, from the beginning of childhood is a distance, a traveling away from the state of oneness, the state of perfection and purity, to a state and a belief system and a personality that begins to perceive things as separate from one another, as different from one another. And at the same time, we begin to develop all kinds of problematic beliefs that originate from that original separation. The biggest problem we develop is fear, because when a human being perceives themselves as separate from everything else, as separate from the universe, we are naturally going to be overtaken ultimately by a state of fear. We begin to think that our survival depends on struggle against hostile forces that are continually coming at us. This develops a very problematic paradigm in which we are experiencing life in a hostile universe. Even though it's not the truth, even though it's not reality, this is the way the average person perceives life and reality, and they act accordingly. Hence the need for drama, conflict, fighting, enemies, problems. It all originates from this fundamental paradigm problem. And by consciously affirming truth through Islamic spiritual practice, we begin to negate and cleanse and purify ourselves from these false beliefs and thoughts that originate from this original separation, this state of separation, this belief in separation, that we're separate from everything else, and that we are this particular personality, this body form, this mind body that exists within time, between the time we're born and the time that we pass away, 60, 70 years. This is also why death is so feared, especially in modern culture, because our entire identity is wrapped up with this temporal form. If people actually identified with their souls, and as we begin to do that through Islamic spiritual practice and through a meditative spiritual practice, to learn how to again identify with and be our very souls rather than the body form, the fear of death ultimately disappears, because we realize that what is true and eternal, what is real, can never die. And the soul is real. The body was created. It's going to come into existence at a certain point. It's going to leave existence at a certain point. But the reality of who you are can never die. It can never be destroyed. Your soul is divine and eternal. And as we learn to identify with the soul again and let go of identification with the body form, increasing amounts of joy, happiness, prosperity, and peace begin to fill our lives.